our trades in the hopes that you will say that these songs have the feeling lost yesterday, but we'll be okay together here tonight. Thank you all, you shiny violins, you trusty guitars, and you happy mandolins, you percussion, you piano, you strings, and you winds. Rise with our voices together here tonight. Thank you all, you painters and poets who come out of the cave and climb back to show us that we're all connected in a universal chorus. So let us sing together here tonight. Thank you all who love and accept us, and we must thank those who seem to reject us, for we know that grace and humor will protect us when we share whiskey for breakfast. Now, whiskey is called a spirit for a reason. It's the essence of the soil and the rocks and the trees, and it brings us all together with songs and memories. So let us share the spirit together here tonight. When I was in Scotland, I met a lovely man. His name was Duncan, and he sang about the land. He poured me a tall glass, called it a wee dram. Let's share a wee dram together here tonight. Thank you all, you painters and you poets who climb out of the cave and come back to show us that we're all just singing in a universal chorus. So let us sing together here tonight. Thank you all who love and accept us, and we must thank those who seem to reject us, for we know that grace and humor will protect us when we share whiskey for breakfast. Hey! I got a loaf of bread and some Lebanon bologna for the long haul out to Arizona. Gonna drive all night, gonna drive all day, gonna tour the world in this here Chevrolet. Quick on the black top, easy on the gravel, have guitar will travel. Well, I race with a trucker through half of Missouri, stop in Oklahoma, but I'm kinda in a hurry. I pick up the drummer in Santa Fe and the bass player's there when we pull up to play. It's fun just to watch the story unravel. Have guitar will travel. Hey, I don't need much, I'm just glad to be alive. The name of the game, boys, is drive, drive, drive. Folks need music, well, we're on the way. No time to sound check, just plug and play. Neon lights tell me where I need to be. It's 12-bar blues, boys, let's try it in E. 12 bars later, I'm in Tennessee. The doorways change, but it's always the same key. Make them smile, then you're back in the saddle. Have guitar will travel. The sun's coming up on the highway ahead. It's pushing through the clouds, it's round and red. The morning fog is rolling through the fields, and the interstate's pumping out automobiles. The road is a river, this here's my paddle. Have guitar, we'll travel. I don't need much, I'm just glad to be alive. The name of the game is drive, drive, drive. Folks need music, well, we're on the way. No time to sound check, it's plug and play. I'd like some mustard for my bologna sandwich, so I stop at a market. I order in Spanish, hasta luego. See you next time. I gotta toca la guitarra on down the line. Don't need no fame, don't need no razzle dazzle. Have my guitar, we'll travel. Oh man, I'm getting pulled over. Well, I'm sorry, Your Honor, I never meant nothing wrong. I just tried to catch life inside of a song. And if I'm guilty of anything, you know I never registered this old six string. Just tell the jury when you bang the gavel, have guitar, have guitar, have guitar, we'll travel. The road is a river, and this is my paddle. Have guitar, we'll travel. The road is a river, and this is my paddle. Have guitar, we'll travel. Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be here. What a cool place. What a cool thing. Only in Baltimore. The greatest city in America. Without a doubt. I mean, seriously, where else would you have rather been the last 2 years? We did pretty damn well. This is a song about watching the world go by from a porch in Remington Avenue. You don't have to look too far if you're looking for someone to love. There's a lost dog sign on a telephone pole and a helicopter flying above. Chris rides a wheelie to the top of the hill. It's something he's proud of. You don't have to look too far if you're looking for someone to love. Don't have to look too hard if you're looking for something to do. Walter's got work through the end of the year, and I hear there's some side jobs too. Lisa's trying to finish the porch for her mom. Luke's trying to stay off the drugs. You don't have to look too far if you're looking for someone to love. If you're looking for someone to love. City lights push and pound you. Summer nights nearly drown you. but love ignites all around you. You don't have to feel too bad, and certainly not for too long. Katie's band is playing at the end of the week, and she asked if you'd be coming along. Jake found a kitten in the storm last night. It was hiding in an old leather glove. You don't have to look too far if you're looking for someone to love. If you're looking, still looking for someone, thanks a lot. Well, I like to think of songs as something mysterious and very commonplace at the same time. I think we're all writing songs. Maybe not. Maybe we all don't know that that's what we're doing. But I like to think of songs as little dandelion seeds that are floating around, and the trick is recognizing it and catching it and planting it. You know, songs can be a fragment of conversation. They can be something that rattles around in your head for a while, or they can be something that sort of appears from the divine ether, shall we say, you know. And the joy of it is once you start to tune into it, you start to get these little things and these little transmissions, and it's a real cool thing to work on. If you're a lazy songwriter like myself, the best route is to dream the song. It's great. You let the subconscious do the work, but the tough part is waking up and remembering it. So, you know, you have to have some notebooks nearby and a guitar. This next song, if it helps you at all, in the dream, a mid-90s era Wilco was playing this song. Just one mistake, 2 times can make a family and a life. All my mistakes, they turned out fine. I love my children and my wife. Last thing I knew, I was a single buck, going nowhere, totally stuck. I met a girl and had some luck, a one-night stand, and I was struck by Cupid's arrow. Now I'm on the straight and narrow. Just one mistake, 2 times can make a family and a life. All my mistakes, they turned out fine. I love my children and my wife. Well, the girl turned out to be totally cool. She barely noticed that I was a fool. We got an apartment by a school, and we raised our daughter up like a jewel. Then we had another, whoops, now she's got a brother. All my mistakes, they turned out fine. I love my children and my wife. Maybe mistakes have what it takes to help create our life. Without mistakes, where would I be? Just a scruffy guy watching TV and drinking beer with no one here. All my mistakes, they turned out fine. I love my children and my wife. Maybe mistakes have what it takes to help create our lives, to help create our lives. I love my children and their hamster and our 3 dogs and that stray cat and my wife. Well, sunlight hits the rooftops and the coffee's kicking in. He can almost hear a train. He could almost crack a grin. The Econo line is running fine and there's a parking spot out front. He grabs the clipboard, knocks on the door to learn what the customers want. Washers and dryers, telephone wires, bending steel with linemen's pliers, putting out fires, plugging up tires, whatever the day requires. Sometimes the part is new, sometimes you gotta make do. It might take nails, it might take glue, but you can solve any problem if you think you can. That's the life and times of a handyman. A tired woman opens the door. Her kitchen sink is broken. Her kids run round the table and she offers him a smoke. He waves it off, unclogs the J-trap, whistling at the day. He's quickly done and says maybe next time when she tries to pay. Washers and dryers, telephone wires, bending steel with linemen's pliers, putting out fires, plugging up tires, whatever the day requires. Sometimes the part is new, sometimes you gotta make do. It might take nails, man, it might take glue, but you can solve any problem if you think you can. That's the life and times of a handyman. He drives to his friend's print shop just to oil some rusty gears, and then it's over to 7th Baptist where he's been hanging chandeliers. He grabs lunch at a diner. He gets a milkshake just because. The waitress smiles, looks at his hands, and asks him what he does. Washers and dryers, telephone wires, bending steel with linemen's pliers, putting out fires, plugging up tires, whatever the day requires. Sometimes the part is new, sometimes you gotta make do. It might take nails and it might take glue, but you can solve any problem if you think you can. That's the life and times of your handyman. He's your handyman. Catch him when you can. handyman. Thank you. I figure that's my contribution to the superhero trend, you know. The handyman is always in his alter ego, though, you know. You never. Isn't that the way, though? Most superheroes never get noticed. Well, there was an old man who lived all alone at the top of a mountain where a stump was his throne. Folks from town came up now and then to ask for an herb or a charm for a friend. The old man would wink, he always had time to tell a slow story or make a quick rhyme. He played on his fiddle, he gazed at the sky as the haze of the hills met the maze of the mind. Then came a day when a girl in the town was stricken by a fever that shackled her down. Her father brought the old man down to her bed. He took one look and quietly said, "I'll need the use of your fastest horse." So they saddled up Joe and he was quickly on course. He rode through the fields and all through the night as the shooting stars. As the shooting stars up above. Well, the girl in town began to turn white. Her breath came right over slow as light. My father held her hand, and when she let go, they heard the approaching galloping roads of starlight fountain, light up the sky. Fire on the mountain, rise in reply. Well, the old man burst in with a plant on his hips. He crumbled the leaves onto the girl's lips. It hardly seemed real how quickly she turned from lifeless wax to a candle that burned. The old man, the girl sat up and the people all wept. She asked for some water, then she peacefully slept. Her father embraced that tired old man. To properly thank you, I don't know how I can. The old man just winked as he turned to go. Just double the oats for that good old mare Joe. Starlight fountain, light up the sky. Fire on the mountain, rise in reply. Starlight fountain, light up the sky. Fire on the mountain, rise in reply. Thank you very much. Thank you. We're in a church. I'm going to take a moment I'm going to preach a little bit, preach to the choir. I feel like what we're doing here is so sacred. It's the universal thing of people getting together in person, making music, making art, making conversation, being with each other in person. Here we are. And I feel like we're at a very particular place in this whole historical unfolding, in that there are a lot of new technological wrinkles that attempt to sort of whistle and buzz and convince us that there may be something better than this. I think the last couple of years convinced us that is totally incorrect. That is totally incorrect. There's nothing that can replace this. There's nothing that can replace the duality of the individual experience, the deeply personal, that you must access alone. That you got to walk that lonesome valley by yourself. And on the other flip side of the coin is that you must have community. And human beings are communal creatures. We just are, even the most introverted of us, and I just feel so lucky, again, to live in the greatest city in America, which understands this. And I don't know, for anyone who's traveled around, you start to see real quick, this particular set of circumstances does not happen everywhere anymore. And we're extremely, extremely lucky to have it. And by it, I mean a community that everyone pays into and everyone supports. And a community, the great thing about a community is it doesn't need you to be anything other than who you are. Because if there's enough human beings, then your natural talents plug in where they need to go. I'm looking out at so many familiar faces of all these people who have poured your lives into creating this. And then, we all attempt to find our way to keep it going. Someone like Alex, who is putting on these shows, is a saint. Just another link in the chain of keeping it going. And I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the thing, the essence, which is what we're doing and what you're all doing, and to say thank you, everyone, for being here, and keep going. And let's continue to make this a priority, because there's going to be a lot of things that are going to attempt to convince us and sell us on there being some other better reality. There is not. There is not. I didn't write this song. When I go by Baltimore, need no carpet on my floor, come along. Go with me, we'll go down to Galilee. Green, green, rocky road, promenade and green. Tell me, who do you love? Tell See that crow up in the sky? He don't walk, no, he just fly. He don't walk, he don't run, flap his wings into the sun. Green, green, rocky road, promenade green. Tell me, who do you love? Tell me, who do you love? Little Miss Jackie on the wall. Don't you holler, don't you call, don't you walk, don't you run. When I say here, won't you come? Hollering green, green, rocky road, promenade green. Tell me, who do you love? Tell me, who do you love? So the cracker does your mama. Chew tobacco if your mama chew tobacco well. Ooka dooka, soda cracker, yeah. Crying green, green, rocky road, promenade green. Tell me, who do you love? Tell me, who do you love? When I go by Baltimore, ain't no carpet on my floor. Come along, go with me, you'll hear the man down in Galilee crying green, green, rocky road, promenade green. Tell me, who do you love? Tell me, who do you love? Well, we live in the best of times and the worst of times. I suppose you could say that about any old times. It's all a matter of perspective. Glass half full, glass half empty. But there's a lot of people around there trying to stir up dissension and get feathers ruffled up. Not me. I think I found something that can bring us all together. A uniting force. It's something I feel passionate about. I'm eating butter. I'm eating cheese. I'm eating anything I please. No need to tell me the calories. I'm eating butter. Yes, I eat gluten and I eat meat. Hell, I'd eat pizza straight off the street. I'm on no diet, so I don't cheat. I'm eating butter. 'Cause butter is cream taken from a cow. They turn it to a solid and I don't know how. Butter my pecans, put butter on my toast. But butter in my belly is the butter I like most. I'm eating butter, I'm eating jam, I'm eating bacon, bacon from ham. No turkey bacon, no thank you ma'am. I'm eating butter. I'm eating cake. I'm eating those little Vienna sausages. I'm eating steak. I eat those things to take a break from eating butter. Yes, 'cause butter is cream taken from a cow. They turn it to a solid and I don't know how. Butter my pecans, put butter on my toast. But butter in my belly is the butter I like most. I'm eating butter, I'm eating cheese, I'm eating anything I please. No need to tell me the calories, I'm eating butter. So pass the biscuits and hold the peas, I'm eating butter. Brought to you by the U.S. Dairy Council. Make sure you get enough of that butter in your daily diet. You will be happier, especially in cookie form. Cookies are a great butter delivery mechanism. Oh boy, oh boy. It's my hit. That is my hit. And I'm happy. I'm happy to have a hit. I'm gonna tell you. I'll be dead. On my gravestone, it will say, he ate butter. Hundreds of songs written, he ate butter. It's good. I mean, why not? Hey, I got a call and response song. It requires a little audience participation. How do you feel about that? Mm-hmm. I think we'll do that, and then maybe I'll get a bass player up here. It's very obvious where the call and response is, but you'll know. I ride through Death Valley, cook my beans on the campfire, brand up the steer, and I roll out the barbed wire. Sometimes I play the guitar, sometimes I play the fool, but everywhere I ramble round, I try to play it cool. I'll play it cool. I'll play it cool. My friends, this is my golden rule. When the temperature starts rising, there's just one thing to do. Don't worry, don't hurry, and play it cool. There's a certain kind of donkey who always likes to buck. He'll hem and haw and flap his jaw and cry about his luck. Sister, if you are the cowgirl who's stuck riding on such mule, stay calm, ride on and play it cool. Well, play it cool. I'll play it cool. My friends, this is my golden rule. When the tempers start to rising, there's just one thing to do. Stay calm, ride on and play it cool. My friends, welcome to the clubhouse. You got a cold Lone Star in your hand. There's Steve McQueen, and there's a young James Dean, and there's the Miles Davis Band. Lucinda and Hank Williams are here, laughing and playing pool. The only cost of entry is you've got to play it cool. Play it cool. I play it cool. My friends, this is my golden rule. When the temperature starts rising, there's just one thing to do. Don't worry, don't hurry, ride on, stay calm, hold still, take a chill and play it cool. That's my public service announcement for, taking a breath. You ever have those moments where you, Here's Alex. Here's Alex. You ever have those moments where you realize these, like a certain saying, a certain turn of phrase actually means the thing it says? Like when they say, take a breath, like just before you act, take a breath. It's like, oh, you mean literally. Oh, that's nice. Oh, you mean to take a breath. I thought it was a metaphor of like, okay, just think for a second. No, it means take a breath. Alex Lacquement on bass. From high on the mountain to the streets of Baltimore, an angel always lit their path as they searched for something more. They came with their fiddles, their kettles, and their praise, learning everything they could and sharing what was theirs. From high on the mountain to the streets of Baltimore, the angels sang them lullabies and tales of love and war. Take a trucker in a pool hall or a farmer on the eastern shore. She could make the toughest man cry, boys, and she could make him roll. And they'll be yelling her name when she walks in, shaking her hand, asking about kin, screaming for songs that their mama sang, ordering shots to ease the pain. But it all goes quiet when she hits the stage, and there's a holy glow in the smoky haze. When angels sing, we know for sure, no matter how hard the time, we will endure. From high on the mountain, she walks the streets of Baltimore. She's drawn to every bar with music, and she pauses at the door. Hear the banjo of Walt Hensley, hear the Stony Mountain Boy, hear a big old lady with a big old heart singing, I've endured. And they'll be yelling her name when she walks in, shaking her hand, asking about kin, screaming for songs that their mama sang, ordering shots to ease the pain. But it all goes quiet when she hits the stage. There's a holy glow in the smoky haze. When angels sing, we know for sure, no matter how hard the time, we will endure. From high on the mountain to the streets of Baltimore, an angel always lit their path as they worked for something more. In the steel mills and the factories, at the counter of a dry goods store. You could always hear a mountain tune echoing through the door. Alex has really been the spearhead for this whole Music on the Square series, and we did one last month, which was an incredible collaboration of Americana bluegrass, traditional Irish music called Across the Harbor, which was quite fun. Next month is Letitia Van Zandt, right? Yeah. And then Brooks Long in May. Pretty cool place to see and hear music, if I do say so myself. So come back for Letitia and Brooks. And then, only in Baltimore, today as I ordered my sandwich on the avenue, the woman asked me, "Oh, so are you playing anywhere this weekend?" Well, I'm doing a cool show tonight. I'm actually playing with Crankies. She said, "Oh yeah, I love Cranky Fest." Only in Baltimore. How many people here have never seen a Cranky? Yes. Oh my God. Okay. All I'm gonna say is, in about 20 minutes, you're gonna feel like you are a little kid on Saturday morning. It's the best. We're quite lucky to have Kathy and Dan here with us tonight. I'm gonna play a couple more here. I'm scattered like change on the bedroom floor. My nerves are shot and my sight is poor. I'm folded like a sweater in the bottom drawer. I guess my service isn't needed anymore. Well, I lived my life like I had 5 more, burning every bridge from the other shore. In any rust-built city I could give the tour, but that service isn't needed anymore. I once took a room up on that 31st floor. Hips did sway and the wine did pour, but something about the way that she closed that door said my service wasn't needed. I got a graveyard shift at an old grocery store, and I would whistle in the quiet as I mopped the floor. Ah, but something went missing from that register drawer, and my service wasn't needed. Yes, and when I go, won't you just shut the door? Sure, I played it hard, but I always knew the score. Just say, here lies a broken down troubadour whose service isn't needed anymore. No, my service won't be needed. Thanks a lot, Alex Lacquement. Thank you all for being here. Wonderful to see you all. I'm going to play one more. Got CDs back there in that suitcase, $10. Throw it in the Campbell soup can. We'll take a quick break after I play, and then we'll have some crankies. Busking Buddha plays Scruggs in the corner, his banjo hands, and making him dimes and quarters. Another Dharma slave is singing Lonesome Scales. She got a face tattoo so she could ride the rails. A cop rolls by with a helmet and a gun. He's dreaming of retirement in the California sun. A man walks by with the box in his ear. Is he talking to someone? Is he even really here? And there's a pudgy old woman. No one seems to notice the once she looked finer than a Japanese lotus. Her hands are so wrinkled it looks like henna. I'm picking this all up on my juniper antenna. Youth always fades by its very definition. Still, most people think they get a repetition. Freedom is a luxury hard to come across, and if you ever find it, you're gonna have to be your own boss. There's no one in the tower, there's no one in the hall. Perhaps I was mistaken when I placed this call. Well, busking Buddha plays Scruggs in the corner. His banjo hand is making him dimes and quarters. Another Dharma slave is singing lonesome scales. She got a face tattoo so she could ride the rails. A cop rolls by with a helmet and a gun. He's dreaming of retirement in the California sun. California sun. California sun. California. Thank you all. Go visit the bar. Get yourself a drink. We'll come back and we'll do crankies. Hello, everyone. Hello, folks of Music on the Square. Welcome back. My name is Alex Lacquement, and no, thank you. And it's a pleasure to be here, curating the music here. It's such a beautiful space, and I couldn't think of a better trio of performers for the night. And just so grateful to see so many faces. So please come back again on April 8th for Letitia Van Sant, and also in May for Brooks Long. And we're going to hope to keep music going here for a long time, because this is a beautiful space. So a big shout out to Jim, Amy, Sarah, Vaughn, and everybody. This series happens because there are so many people invested in making music here. There are so many people beyond the people I listed. So please give a big hand to all those folks. All right, now you're in for a great treat. Please give an even bigger hand to Katherine Fahey and Dan Van Allen.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks, everyone, for coming. It's so great. I haven't seen this many people since last year. This is amazing. It's incredible. Let's have another round of applause for the incredible Caleb Stine. And thinking about this evening like a night of storytelling, Caleb tells his stories in song, and I tell my stories with crankies. So this story is very, very special one. It's a story of my friend Robin Reed, who grew up not too far from here, and in the 60s. We call it between Monument and Munford. Those are the streets she lived near. And they're her childhood memories of her neighborhood here and the Arabers in her neighborhood. Does anyone not know what an Araber is? Someone doesn't. It's really dark in here. So an Araber is a horse cart vendor. They sell produce from horse-drawn wagons in Baltimore City. We're the only city in the U.S. that still has horse cart vendors. Yes, you can cheer. And Dan Van Allen, my partner who's back here, he helped start the Araber Preservation Society. And we have an Araber stable behind our house. So we have sort of a personal connection with that community. But this is our friend Robin's story. I don't remember them during the winter. My memories of them were during the summertime. I always remember them coming through during the summer. We lived at 611 North Bradford Street. We lived in an area where each door was a different color. Ours was blue, cerulean blue. I remember waking up to their calls. It was a funny, haunting sound. The sound of their voices would bounce off the wall of the school I went to, which was across the street from my house. If I were outside, I'd be on the stoop like everybody else. But mostly I was in that window I wasn't supposed to be in. We were always hanging out of those windows, literally. Our bellies pressed against the sill, our legs swinging up. I can just hear him now telling us, "Get out of the window. Stop hanging out of the window." But if we were in those windows, we'd be watching from above, and you could see them coming down the street. I can see them now even more. Intense sunlight, empty echo, dramatic shadows. That's what I think of them when I remember them coming down the street. I remember color, more than anything with them. The colors red and yellow mostly. And of course, I remember the fruit. I remember the horses, how they were decorated, the bells. They were like fairy tale. And some of the horses had those funky plumes on top of their head. They were like waterfalls. But I was a little afraid of them too, afraid of the noise. Our street was narrow, so the sounds would echo louder, the clomping of the horses and the hollers. Now, I don't remember the faces of the Arabers anymore, but I remember their hands. If we were ever allowed to buy something from them, I remember their big, strong hands giving you change. Nobody had hands like an Araber. Everybody went out when they were on the block. It was more important than the ice cream man. You heard the bells, the calls, the horse clomping, that haunting echo coming down the street, and you knew you were going to get something good. Now, I was just a kid, but I recognized how they brought everybody out, and they talked to them, and everybody talked to each other. There was a warmth about it for certain, you know? But us kids, we were more intrigued by the horses than anything. We looked forward to times when we were allowed to ride the horses. It was 25 cents, 50 with a Polaroid. The one time I got to ride, it was my uncle who paid for it. He was my favorite uncle. Now, I wasn't a fearful kid, but I was terrified. They lifted us up and put us on. I remember riding the length of our block from Monument to McKeldry Street. I galloped up and down. Now that was an accomplishment. When it was hot out, we would sell snowballs. We would watch them make brooms down at the broom factory. I remember how they wrapped the wire around the brooms. Now, even though it was a horse and wagon, a lot of kids associated them with Santa because of the bells. And they were magical, you know, they were very otherworldly. They belonged, but they didn't belong. They were such a part of the neighborhood, the community, and everything. but yeah, they were Santa. Tropical Santa. They were a beautiful necessity. They were essential and normal and needed to be there. They were a part of everyday life. And they were definitely more fun than the supermarket. It was a crazy little neighborhood, but it was special. I'd forgot about being a kid. It was a great place to grow up. That was a happy house, a very poor house, but a very happy house. The whole neighborhood was very poor, but very happy. Thank you very much. Here's the scroll. Did you guys, I know some of you have seen that one a few times. Did you notice there was something new in there? It was red. I should have told you in the beginning so you could look for it. I tried to put some new little things in once in a while for my friends who keep coming to see me. It was a fire hydrant. Really excited about that fire hydrant. And another thing that's kind of new that wasn't in the original is the school, because it was over on this side of town, and but it got torn down. That was the school that Raman went to that was across the street from our house. But the Baltimore Historical Society, they were able to find an old photo of Robin's school and send it to me. So I was able to put the school in there. This next story is about my dad and birds, and there's a vocabulary word in this story, cartographer. Who knows what a cartographer is? Yes, can you tell the audience? Would you? Close, that's photographer. Cartographer is something a little different. Anyone else? Maps, someone who makes maps. One time I had someone say it's someone who photographs cars, which I thought was a really good guess. It should mean that. Okay. So this is called the map room. is near, my dearest dear, when you and I must part. How little you know of the grief and woe of my poor aching heart. Each night I suffer for your sake. You're the one I love so dear. I wish that I was going with you, or you were staying here. Everyone called the house I grew up in the tree house because it was so surrounded by tall trees. It had large windows, which sometimes birds would fly into. I remember how I used to run outside to save stunned birds from stray cats. I thought of the birds I saved and those I didn't when my father died. I went home to help my mother organize his things. My father was a cartographer, and my mother put me in charge of the map room. This was the room which contained most of my father's things. There were boxes of trinkets, tools, letters, photographs, and maps, lots of maps. It occurred to me as I looked through my father's things, his various collections, that if he had been a bird, he may have been a bowerbird. He liked to collect things, and he saw value in things that others might not. To him, simple things were treasures. And I looked through them as if they contained some kind of message for me. My father loved to read. In his last year, he told me a few things with great emphasis. One was that he wished he had read more when he was younger. As I looked through the books, I found $20 bills inside some of them. I knew my father must have stowed them away there, always anticipating harder times. He did grow up during the Depression. Then I thought, if my father were a bird, maybe he would have been an acorn woodpecker. Because acorn woodpeckers drill holes into trees and telephone poles to hide their nuts for the winter. Among the books, the largest, thickest volume was about birds. My father loved nature. I carefully took it down from the shelf and began to flip through it. I read about all kinds of birds. I read about the Arctic tern, the farthest migrating bird, a tiny creature who crosses the whole planet every year, traversing oceans, winds, and storms. I read about puffins who mate for life and change the color of their beak to mirror the one they love. Puffins lay 1 egg per year. Their babies are called pufflings. Then I finally came to the pigeon, the commonest of birds. I read about how they navigate using the magnetic fields of the earth, traveling vast distances, but always finding their way back home. I finally decided this was the bird my father would have been. A poor boy from New York who managed to become a cartographer, mapping places never mapped before, flying all around the world, but always landing back at home. Oh, when you're on some distant shore, think of your absent friend. And when the wind blows high and clear, a light to me pray send. Oh, when the wind blows high and clear, pray send your love to me, so I might know by your hand light how time has gone with thee. Thank you. Is there nothing that Caleb Stine cannot do? I don't know if I've ever heard him play the piano before tonight.
Possibly maybe hit wrong notes in the key of D.
We got together once to rehearse. He didn't bring a keyboard or anything. He just listened. And then, even though he'd never played the song before, he just started playing it immediately on his guitar. I was like, wow. Yeah, you can clap. He's like a vessel. So we all have our stories, and we're sharing some of our favorite stories with you tonight. And who knows why one story becomes a song or a cranky and another song doesn't. I mean, there are stories I tell all the time that I haven't made a cranky about, but I love them. Like when Amy's sole of her shoe melted off her foot when we were in the Grand Canyon, and like Caleb took the strap like from out of his pants, like the drawstring, that's the word. He's the wordsmith, not me. And he like lashed the sole of her shoe back onto her boot. And we made it out of there almost until the other one fell off.
Almost until the other one fell off. And then we were like, what are we going to do? And then from below us in the Grand Canyon, we heard this very vigorous singing, and this group of young men,
Boy Scouts,
showed up, and they're like, "How can we help?" And did they have duct tape or what did they? I don't know. They had new shoes
tape
for her. They had her size.
They had duct tape, and they said, "Never leave home without duct tape." And they taped her shoes up, and it was like the hottest day of the year. Don't hike down there on the hottest day of the year.
I'm saying, now that you better make it great.
I know. Now, next birthday, Amy.
The day Amy's shoes melted off.
Amy's shoes. All right. Next story. Anyway. This is a story I learned from the Moonlit Road Storytellers. If you like storytelling, they have an amazing website, and this is a very old African-American ghost story. Don't worry, it's not that scary. It's more, the reason I like it is actually it's a funny ghost story, which is very cool, and it has lots of cool, like local superstitions from Louisiana, where it's from, which I love. I know some of you like Louisiana. There you are. And what else did I want to say? That, yeah, you should listen to Veronica Bird's version. It's awesome. This is one of my favorite stories to tell. There's something new in this cranky, if anyone wants to try to find it. Would anyone like to read the title? Yes? I don't feel dead yet. Thank you. And how's he looking? Dead. Anyone else? Not dead yet. He needs to eat more. I don't know why I looked at Caleb. What is it? Okay. I don't feel dead yet. Here we go. One morning, in a small shack deep within a Louisiana swamp, Sister Jones awoke with a start. She looked at her husband, who was sleeping soundly beside her, and she was a bit uneasy. She was uneasy, for she had dreamed of a beautiful wedding. And she had been taught since the time she was little that to dream of marriage was a sure sign of death. Well, Sister Jones, she laid there and she wondered who would be the one to pass from this earthly life to the next. Would it be she or her husband Cephas? Well, about a week later, she got her answer. Her husband, who'd been suffering with the consumption, took a turn for the worse and slipped from this life into the spirit world. I know. Now, Sister Jones was sad to see her husband go, but she should have seen it coming, for she had been warned by the dream. The next day, Sister Jones covered all the mirrors in the house because everyone in town knew that if you didn't, the image of the dead would remain in those mirrors. Now, Sister Jones loved her husband, but she didn't want him hanging around in those mirrors. The next day, Sister Jones buried her husband. Afterwards, she and the mourners were just sitting around the house talking about how they were going to miss poor old Cephas, stubborn though he was, when the front door swung open. A cold breeze filled the entire room, and in walked Cephas. He He walked right up to the mourners and said, "What's all this about? Y'all act like somebody's dead. Who's dead?" Well, needless to say, by this time, all the mourners jumped up and ran clean out of the house. But the widow Jones, who was still very frightened, managed to blurt out, "No, Cephas, you know you're dead. Why are you hanging around here in the living room and not in the graveyard?" "Dead," said Cephas. "How come you say I'm dead? I sure don't feel dead." The widow Jones looked at him and said, "Cephas, you may not feel dead, but you sure look dead as can be. You better get back to that graveyard where you belong." Now, even though Cephas was dead, he was still very stubborn. And he moved closer to the fire to warm his cold hands and feet, all the while giving the room an icy chill. From sunup to sundown, day after day, that's all he did. Sit by the fire, rocking back and forth. After a few weeks of Brother Cephas just sitting around, things started to get bad in the household. Cephas turned a funny gray color, and he got real dusty. Every time he'd move, his joints would creak and crack, and as the days wore on, he'd creak and crack more and more. That poor widow Jones, she hadn't received any company since her husband's untimely return, and she began to wonder just how long this corpse would last. The insurance money, she wasn't getting it. They refused to pay the insurance because Cephas declared to everyone that he was not dead. To make matters worse, the undertaker threatened to take the coffin back if Cephas refused to lie in it. Now, the widow Jones needed that insurance money awfully bad, and she was getting real tired of her husband sitting around the house creaking and cracking. She tried to convince him time and time again to get back into the grave, but each time he'd protest. "Leave me alone. I'm not going back to the grave until I feel dead, and I don't feel dead yet." The widow Jones just knew something had to be done. Well, Cephas had been sitting around the house for about a month when one night the best fiddler in town built up enough nerve to go by and visit the widow Jones. He came in and sat on one side of the fire, and Cephas sat on his side, still rocking back and forth, creaking and cracking. They exchanged glances and made small talk, as small as a human and a corpse could make. And after a while, it was obvious the two men were rather uncomfortable. By and by, the Cephas blurted out, "All this sitting around is boring. Let's the three of us do something fun. How about some music, Brother Fiddler? Let's dance and limber up our joints a bit." Well, the fiddler, still getting used to the fact that he was sitting talking to a corpse, got out his fiddle, and he started to play. Oh, when Cephas heard that music, he jumped up, shook himself about, and started buck dancing around the room. "Now that's more like it," he hollered as he skipped and pranced about, his old rotten bones creaking and cracking even louder than before. For a dead man, he sure could dance. In fact, he danced so hard that a piece of his arm flew loose and fell on the floor. When the fiddler saw that, he stopped playing and said, "Good golly, look at that." But the widow Jones, she grinned at the sight, an idea coming into her head. "Play faster," she demanded. So the fiddler played faster, and Cephas danced faster. Whew. He danced so fast that bones started to fly everywhere. And the widow kept hollering, "Play faster, play faster." And the fiddler, he was so scared he didn't know what to do. He played faster still, and Cephas danced faster. Bones dropping all the time, until all at once Cephas began to crumble to the floor into a big heap of bones. There lay the bones of Cephas, still as they could be, except for his big old bald head. Why, it kept dancing all by itself. Just dancing and grinning and bouncing all over the floor. And the widow just kept hollering, "Play faster." But eventually, the fiddler wasn't hearing any of that. He said, "Sorry, Sister Jones, I gotta run and get me some rosin for my bow. I'll be right back." I'll have you know that fiddler, nice. I'll have you know that fiddler ran out the door in a flash and has not been seen since. When the music stopped, Cephas's bald head grinned up at his wife and said, "What happened to the music? I want to dance some more." Well, the widow simply looked down at the head and she said, "Cephas, the music has stopped, and so have you. You have danced yourself into a big heap of bones, and now it's time for you to go back to the graveyard." Well, Cephas's big old eyes looked around, and he noticed he didn't have a body. So he sighed a big sigh and said, "Okay, wife, I guess I do feel dead now. Go on and take me back to the graveyard." So the widow Jones gathered up all the bones, and she took them back to the graveyard. But this time, she was real careful to lay those bones all crisscrossed. So Cephas could not get up and dance some more. Aw, yeah, poor Cephas. And after that, Cephas didn't get out of the grave anymore. And it is sad to say that the poor widow Jones, she remained a widow the rest of her days. Most folks think it was that dancing head that kept all the men away. Thank you, and I appreciate the compassion for Cephas. We have a question about what was new. The cicada was new for the cicadas, of course. At the end, we had to put a cicada in there. Did anyone else notice something new? The wallpaper is new to some of you. Probably new to most of you. Yes, that's the newest thing of all, when she puts the bones in the ground. You can see the sky above with the stars and the moon. There was no stars and moon. Good job, Roy. Are you going to make a new cranky now, Roy? If you were going to make one, what would you make it about? He doesn't know. Okay, get back to us. We're going to do, I do want to say I have some new ones I'm really excited to share sometime this year. There's a new documentary that's been made about Hazel Dickens. I worked with a filmmaker. I worked with a filmmaker named Julia Galanka, who's a local filmmaker, and we're in the process of finding a place to screen the movie, and then I will be allowed to perform the crankies. So I'm excited for that. But this is a pretty new project I did this past year, based on an old cowboy song called Bury Me Not on the Lone Prairie, and I made it in collaboration with Ismay, a cowgirl from Northern California. Like, she is a cowgirl. Like, I call her up and she's like, I was birthing lambs, you know? She is really, she lives on her family's ranch out there, and she's lovely. If you want to check out her music, it's beautiful. It's Ismay, I-S-M-A-Y. And this is an interesting old song because it comes from Great Britain. It used to be Bury Me Not in the Deep, Deep Sea. When they left home to work, they went out to work on the sea. Then when they brought that tune to the US, they changed it to Bury Me Not on the Lone Prairie and made it about cowboys. But we made it about one of the horses, one of the cowboys' horses. I want to dedicate this one to anyone who's lost someone they love. Bury me not on the lone prairie. These words came low and mournfully from the cold pale lips of a youth who lay on his dying bed at the close of day. He wasted time till upon his brow just shadowed clouds were gathering now. He thought of his home and his friends so nigh as the cowboys gathered to see him die. of the free wild wind and the song of birds. He thought of his home and the cottonwood flower, of the songs he learned in his childhood hour. I often thought I'd be laid when I died by the old churchyard on the green hillside. By the side of my father, let my grave be. Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie. Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie, where wild coyotes may howl o'er me, where the buffalo roam and the winds blow free. Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie. I want to be laid where a mother's prayer and sister's tears will mingle there, where friends can come weep over me. Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie. Oh, bury me not, and his voice fell there, and we heeded not his dying prayer. In a narrow grave, just 6x3, we buried our boy on the lone prairie. Where the dewdrop fall and the butterfly rest, where the wild blossoms bloom and the buried rest, where the buffalo roam and the winds blow free. Oh, we buried our boy on the lone prairie. Thank you. We have one more short cranky for you. Very short. Very short. Thank you so much for coming tonight. We're just so grateful to be here together. This is a we can put it next to it. We can put it next to it, but not behind it. All right, so this is Cranky I made during the pandemic. It's quite small, as you can see, so we're going to project it. Caleb, do you have any announcements? No announcements. Letitia Van Zandt, April. We love her. Great storyteller. And the Cranky Festival will be coming up in May, I believe, at the Creative Alliance. So we usually do it in January, but we delayed it, of course. Bread and Puppet. There's a lot of stuff happening at, Bread and Puppet is coming. Are they at 2640? Yes, awesome. And a lot of stuff happening at Black Cherry Puppet Theater. Their shows this weekend are sold out, but they have a bunch more lined up, so. Found a replacement bird. The thing about really tiny shadow puppets is they can get lost. And these are small ones. Like, very small. Okay, this is a Cranky I made during the pandemic. Dan and I, every night, we would make lists of things we were grateful for. And I think that's a great practice to do anytime. And we here have so much to be grateful for tonight, so much wonderful community. Thank you again for coming. And just gratitude. It's just so good for you. And I think it's one of the best ways to honor those who came before us, those who will come after, and those who have less than we do. So, thank you. Lionel Hampton said, "Gratitude is when we hold memories in the heart and not in the mind." Today, I am grateful for my home, my neighborhood, my community. I'm grateful for my cat and a good night's sleep. I'm grateful for a hot bath and a warm sweater on a cold day. I'm grateful for flowers, for tea together and with friends. For mending, and watching you sew the buttons back on your clothes. I'm grateful for clean laundry. and trips in your Volkswagen bus. I'm grateful for our visits to the flea market, where we look and wonder at all of the amazing things humans are capable of creating. I'm grateful for picnics and things that fly. I'm grateful for Luna moths on the backs of trees. I'm grateful for mushrooms. I'm grateful for praying mantises and praying foxes. The temporary nature of things. I'm grateful for new life. At the end of the day, I'm grateful to be going home with you. Mostly, I'm grateful for another day with you. Dan Van Allen, everybody. Caleb Stine. And Katherine Fahey. Thank you. We're so grateful for you all and for Alex as well. I said Caleb, but I don't know if you could hear me. Alex, did you want to say anything at the end here?
I'll just say thank you, everybody, for coming out. Thank you to Katherine, to Dan, to Caleb, to Joanna doing lights, Sarah doing video, Vaughn helping out with video, Jim, for everyone involved, and thank you so much. We hope to see you back here on April 8th for Letitia Van Sant, and then March 13th for Brooks Long. So pick up a little flyer and sign up on our email list, and give it up for all the performers tonight. What a beautiful night. See you all next month. Thank you so much.